Welcome back. Namibia has officially marked a major milestone in its green industrial journey with the launch of the HyIron Oshivela Plant in Arandis. The first of its kind in Africa, this cutting-edge facility is set to produce green iron at net zero emissions, propelling our country onto the global stage of sustainable innovation. Now, joining us to unpack the impact, promise and future of this transformative project is Mr. Jona Musheko, Manager of External Affairs and Communications at GH2P. Jona, good evening and welcome.
Good evening to you and the viewers.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Let's start with a big picture, Jona. What does the inauguration of the HyIron Oshivela Plant truly mean for Namibia's green hydrogen ambitions?
Well, thank you. The inauguration of the HyIron Oshivela project to Namibia means that, first of all, we can do it. Not just we can do it, but we can do it ourselves as well. It is also a symbol to say what may not be possible in other parts of the world, Namibia can be able to do it. Again, it also means that not always do we have to follow somebody. At times, we must also lead the way. So the symbolic meaning of this inauguration to us is very important in the sense that we are able to realize, aspirations that were set forth by young people, and that the government believed in those young people. In as much as there were so much doubt from the beginning, it has become very easy to believe. Even now, if we have to talk to people, we have so much point of reference, not just for HyIron, but also for a pilot project such as Daures Green Hydrogen Village. So as much as we continue to have these projects coming online, it is becoming easier and easier to talk to the Namibian people and for them to realize that what we are doing here, it can be done by us. It is being done by fellow Namibians, being spearheaded by fellow Namibians, and the inspirations all over the world is looking at Namibia.
From what you just said in terms of having a point of reference now, from a communications and stakeholders perspective, Jona, how did the GH2 prepare the public and partners for this milestone event?
I think before we get to the preparation, I think since last year we have been involved in so much discussions on different platforms, radios, television. I think we've come here numerous times to make the people understand, not just the public itself, but also to make the potential policymakers by that time. Remember, we went through elections and we needed also that all those that are likely to become members of parliament understand what we are doing. Until now, we still have a lot of work to do. But what we did to kind of prepare the public to be, ready to see what is happening at HyIron Oshivela, we have actually put together a documentary that is called The Faces of Green Hydrogen that is running on NBC, I think for the past 3 weeks now. And it runs every Sunday, I think from 1800 hours to give the feel of the plant, the people that are working there, their experience, where have they studied, what exactly are they doing there. And you get to realize that these are fellow Namibians that have studied things like electrical engineering, pipe fitting and plumbing, welding, and all these type of things, to make the people understand that what is happening at HyIron Oshivela, it's something that is really of Namibia, and it's originally a Namibian idea.
Fantastic. Well, we've heard about the impressive tech, behind the plant. Can you break down the core components for us in layman's terms so that every Namibian is able to understand?
I'll try my best, and I think I've got a few analogies that we can use. First of all, the Oshivela hydrogen project, that is HyIron, is not connected to the national grid system, that is the electricity power lines. It sources its power from renewable energy, that is solar power, with 44,000 units of solar units. And those solar units are on the 25 hectares of land, producing 25 megawatts of electricity, utilizing 2 electrolyzers of each is 6 megawatts, so together it's 12 megawatts. And they've got a very special technology that we call a kiln, but you can, for these analogies and understanding, we refer to it as the main pot, where iron ore is pushed together with hydrogen. So basically what happens is that you get water, and we all know the combination of water elements, it's hydrogen and oxygen. So what happens there is that you split water using electrolyzers. Hydrogen, you keep it for use, and then you release oxygen. So the only object or whatever subject we are releasing from that plant is oxygen. But hydrogen, we capture that, and then we use that into that kiln that we can refer to as a pot, where then it's used to now process iron ore, and that after that you get direct reduced iron ore. So that pot, it works in a way that if you look at iron ore, I think I would want to remember those that grow up maybe in the village or whatsoever. If you take a magnet, an actual magnet, and you roll it on the floor, usually it comes back maybe one coin, but it also has got small particles, very small of them, a lot of them attached to the magnet. That could be iron ore, but now it is now collected at places where it is highly concentrated in areas such as Arandis, Kunene, it can be there as well. But this plant will be getting part of that iron ore from South Africa and other parts of Africa. So that iron ore, the direct reduced iron ore, is now what is needed for industrial purposes to make things such as steel. And from steel we make things such as cars. And so we are likely to get a final product that will be, for instance, produced in South Africa. That is a green car. Why green? Because the steel that is used to manufacture that car, it is a green steel originating from Namibia. So this is the first type of this plant in Namibia, in Africa, and in the world. That is why if you have seen the audience that was there, it was a diversified audience from Europe, Asia, America, and so on and so on. So people came to see things they have read in research papers, but they have not seen it in reality.
Yeah. Well, the President, Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah, who was your guest of honor and key speaker at the event, highlighted youth involvement and job creation. So can you expand on the kinds of opportunities, Jona, this project has created so far, and also what's coming next?
I think it's very important to, when we say youth involvement, first of all, this project itself is being run by young people. The project manager is a young person, Jona Musheko. The project engineer who studied electrical engineering and some other additional qualification is a young person. About more than 20 other young people on that specific site that studied welding, that studied plumbing and so on. But these opportunities are so much diverse that you don't have to be a chemistry necessarily to be just employed in this particular sector. As I've alluded to earlier, that we have got all types of skills needed in this specific industry. And I think if you look at, for instance, their phase one, when they have set up their phase one, they employed about 400 people for the construction of those 44,000 units, including the assembling of the entire plant. Currently, they've got about 50 employees on site, of which most of them is diverse. But there are also youth or young people that are employed in this project that didn't have qualifications. There is one gentleman who was just a header of sheep and goats on that specific farm. Remember, it was a farm. And they took him in for training to operate these heavy trucks, these machineries, training for 2 weeks or 3 weeks in Walvis Bay, and he went back again. If you go on that specific site now, he is operating those machineries, and he was just a cattle or a sheep header. Very interesting stories. And I would want to diversify that to say, currently, projects such as Daures, they are looking also for people that could join them. Somebody who did, let's say, cooking specializations, because remember it's into crop production. So they are looking for somebody who can cook. They are looking for a facility administrator. They are looking for, I think, 2 more. Currently, they've got 5 vacancies as we speak. So green hydrogen industry is coming forth with so many opportunities, but we don't want people to believe that it will solve all our problems when it comes to unemployment. It is not a silver bullet. It is a contribution towards solving the problem of unemployment, and other industries should be able to contribute, such as mining, fishing, agriculture, and so on and so on.
Jona, how does this plant fit into Namibia's broader economic strategy, especially in terms of, benefication and industrialization?
I think the first thing we should always remember is our alignment to Vision 2030, where it says by 2030 we should at least have diversified our economy, and part of that diversification we must be able to at least industrialize. Now, it comes at a time whereby industrialization is happening with efforts to decarbonize these industries. We are not a heavy industry economy kind of. We have been more of a primary economy whereby we depend on just extraction, producing. We dust off a bit and then we sell or we consume. So what industrialization now comes is for us to be able to add value to our own mineral resources, and that is exactly what is happening at HyIron Oshivela, whereby you are getting iron ore from in the country, and also iron ore that could come from South Africa, and that will talk to our Africa Free Trade Continental Agreement in terms of our ability to trade with our neighbors. And also to say that iron ore, in adding value and processing that iron ore, you also capture some of the content in terms of job creation, because when you export iron ore without adding value to it, you're also exporting jobs. But that is one way we should approach industrialization as a country, so that we'll be able to also cater for jobs and also allow other Namibians to participate in these investments, whereby they can also own some of these plants, like we just have at HyIron Oshivela. So it is something that has got so much potential. We just need to diversify it, not just for green hydrogen. And I think while we are there, I should also say that as we produce green hydrogen in Namibia, we are not, by any of the projects so far, exporting green hydrogen. We are using green hydrogen to add value to something in Namibia, and then that's what we can export, or we can add value to our own mineral resources. If you look at Daures, they are doing the same. They are not exporting green hydrogen. The pilot project is to test the viability of green hydrogen in the utilization of coming up with fertilizer that can eventually be utilized in the agriculture sector. So be with the, let's say, clean energy solution. They are looking at how can green hydrogen be utilized in transportation, in cargo, shipment, and so on. So we want the people to understand that that is the sector, that is how we see it happening. It can unfold in different ways, but we need to appreciate that we are not exporting green hydrogen, as people have been saying. We can export green ammonia, but we're not exporting green hydrogen, because obviously it has got in its own complexity to say. It is very explosive. For you to be able to transport it, it requires very careful, infrastructures and things like that. So we decided that means that the fact that it's very difficult to transport, let the industries come and congregate in Namibia. Let those industries come and set up here in Namibia, so that they be able to add value to whatever that can be used. Even in cement production, it can be done. So it is up to us to make sure that we capture all that value.
Looking ahead, what can we expect in phase 2 of this project?
Phase 2 of HyIron Oshivela, they are talking about building more of that what they have on site. So we are looking at them targeting about 100 megawatts of power to be generated from renewable energy to be generated from solar panels. So if you look at the 44,000 units of solar they have on site, that means you might have to triple those units to be able to produce that 100 megawatts of power or renewable energy. They are also likely to add more on the batteries, obviously, and also be able to add more on the electrolyzers. They may be able to add more on the kiln, the pot that I just described, where iron ore is being cooked.
Right.
And obviously, this expansion, it also speaks to opportunities that will come with that. These solar panel units will need Namibian contractors to help with installation. In their phase 1, they had recruited about, they had hired about 60 contractors, different contractors. Not one person, contractors that has got a lot of people under them to help them with phase 1. So if you look at phase 2, we are likely to see more of contractors being recruited. Either it is transportation of these solar panel units, transportation of maybe additional electrolyzers or additional equipment and pipes. So it is something that we want people to understand, so they can be able to position themselves and say, how do I benefit in these opportunities? And when they see perhaps adverts in the newspapers for certain services, they are able to participate with an understanding that I am going to participate in a green hydrogen initiative.
Thank you so much. Just briefly and lastly, as we are out of time now, unfortunately, but what kind of international interest or investment has this project attracted so far, and how is GH2P, managing those relationships?
There is so much interest, and I think I've spoken to that earlier to say, if you look at the inauguration of this project and look at the congregation or the audience that were there, it's people from all over the world. We had people, obviously last year we had people from Japan, that is Toyota. They've got so much interest because they want to see how best they can have access to the final product, directly reduced iron ore, so they can take it to their plant in South Africa to manufacture Toyota cars that can make it to the European market. Remember, next year the European market will have the CBAM regulation that will be activated, and that will regulate the type of content, the type of product will enter the European market. So they want to make sure that they will still be able to export to Europe with green Toyotas. So we have such type of people. We have got countries such as Botswana that were here I think 2-3 weeks ago. We have got obviously the European themselves. We have got Germany. We have got China. All these are people that are looking at what are we doing and how can they participate in this industry, not just in high iron, but in looking at our bigger picture of expansion as a country and participating in launching more of these projects, getting online. Yeah.
Well, Jona, thank you so much for being here with us this evening. It was lovely having you here.
Thank you for having me.
That was Mr. Jona Musheko speaking to us about the HyIron Oshivela Plant, which was launched recently in the Rongo region. He is from GH2P. Well, we'll be back after this brief break, and our conversations continue here on the Daily Roundup. Stay with us.